right, everybody. Welcome back to this solo episode of the Dealership Fix It podcast. My name is Jacob Berry. I'm your host, and it's just me today. I wanted to bring up the topic of marketing when it comes to sales for your major unit inventory. Now, if you have the same type of thinking like me, inventory is the driver for the entire dealership. I'm not ragging on parts and I'm not ragging on service. Those guys are awesome, but let's face it, what drives the dealership is moving the metal. Moving the metal will definitely power the parts and accessories department and obviously the service department when they come in for their first oil change or accessory upbuild or install, anything like that, right? And what I found is that most dealerships don't have a marketing problem. They have a system problem. And so let's try to define the game. Let's move some inventory faster. Let's protect that gross and build some revenue on top of these deals. Now, this episode is being recorded and launched in December. Hopefully, you already have some type of holiday program set up well in advance, and you're just now executing it. That's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about evergreen type stuff that you can use any time of year, all year, quarterly, monthly, whatever it is. So let's get into it. All right. So the first category that I want to talk about is inventory is the merchandising system, right? You first need to understand the price consistency across all things, your DMS, your website, physical hang tags. Having the bike represented with the right price competitively is going to be your smartest move to start out with. Before you even place an ad, before you even cut a video, make sure that that inventory is well represented with the proper price. Now, if it's a brand new bike, it's at MSRP, under map maybe. If it's got a rebate, apply it. If it's a used bike, make it competitive. The second thing is you need to physically reposition those aged units. So some type of identifier, some area in the showroom, you need to make sure that you label them like the retail does. There's a reason why when you go to the grocery store, they put the kids' cereals at eye level of a person who's 3 or 4 feet tall. It's also a reason why the milk and the eggs are in the back of the store. So you have to rummage through the soda and the chip aisles. They're going to be positioning in your store that customers will naturally follow, right? If someone's making a beeline for the service department, make them walk through that aged inventory. And because you've already tagged it appropriately with a competitive price or some type of little handlebar, star cutout that says on sale, reduced, whatever, that's what's going to win on those aged units. Add a sale overlay on the first image of your digital showroom, right? Your website, your dealer website. If customers don't know that it's on clearance, they won't know that it's on clearance. So helping to identify that with some type of tag, with some type of overlay that you put on the first picture in your carousel of pictures, because you want to have multiple, 12 to 15 is the rule. That's what's really going to help segregate those, identify those to the customer, and even consider something on the homepage that is the clearance deals or the featured inventory. Dealer Spike, DX1, Room 58, they all have this feature. And if you don't on your website, simply just request it from them. They'll help you get it done. Okay. So how do we do it? Well, let's first create 3 age buckets. Let's go 0 to 30, 31 to 90, and 90 plus days old of inventory. You should have some type of marketing plan in place that is allocated to these 3 buckets. Fresh arrivals, 0 to 30. Getting stale, 31 to 90. Aged gotta go, 90 plus days in inventory. This is a game about turn. And if you're not properly turning your new and your pre-owned bikes efficiently, they're going to sit there and they're going to rot. My most favorite saying in the world, Mike Murray from National Powersports Auction, he says that inventory is like bananas, right? You don't want to have them, too green, right? You're not going to eat them. You want them right in the middle before they turn brown. And when they turn brown, you throw them out. So whatever that needs to be to you, make sure that you are managing your aged inventory. Don't just go for the easiest stuff. You need to have a weekly inventory stand-up meeting too. That's a good suggestion that always worked for me. And when we were talking about what inventory is what, new, used, motorcycle, off-road, the seasonal stuff, personal watercraft. We had an inventory stand-up meeting with our staff, and we consistently not only put lists on the wall or on the sales manager's desks of, hey, this is the inventory that we need to focus on, guys. Sometimes on the weekend, or if it's a little bit slow that week, we would put spiffs on them. And so there's something to be said about the funny happening when you give a salesperson an incentive to make even more money on something that is maybe a non-desirable, or it's been there for a while. Guess what that salesperson start to do? They show it to every single customer they talk to. Customer walks in, hey, I'm looking for a new razor. Hey, great, let me show you this Honda scooter, right? First, before we make our way to the razor. It's just one of those things that naturally happens when you put a spiff on it. $50, $100, a day of PTO, right? Doesn't even have to be money, whatever the case may be. Incentivize that inventory in that stand-up meeting. Okay. The second category that I want to do is, again, this is in terms of sales and marketing secrets, right? We need to access the first party data in terms of giveaways and growing our lists. Okay. So the first thing is a giveaway, right? Everybody who is a franchise dealer, for the most part, has an allocation of co-op money. And what we have found is that most dealers let that money expire. We're talking about thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars that has an expiration date on it that is just kind of like glossed over, right? They don't realize they have that money, or they don't know how to use it. But let's try to create a program for a giveaway. And I'm not talking about something that's super expensive. It could be a kids unit, a $2,000 or $3,000, invoice costed, ATV or dirt bike, something, right? But the key here is that it's a data acquisition play. It's not a freebie, right? So I'm talking about a couple different things here: is using your co-op, because they do allow for giveaways in most cases. I'm talking about something that's cheap so that you can get a new rider into it, like a kid's ATV or dirt bike. But the third thing that I'm really talking about here is a form of lead generation. It's a data acquisition play, right? So the idea is that you put up a campaign. Hey, we're giving away this on this date. Here's this form. Enter to win. Be in store present when we announce your name to win. Whatever it needs to be. But you want to essentially collect the name, email, and cell phone consistently using some type of formatted landing page on your website, or some other type of widget that captures that stuff easily digitally. Okay. Now, you are only going to give away one unit. If you're really generous, you can give away two. But regardless, let's say you get 100 people that sign up for this giveaway. Okay. One of them is going to win. They're essentially maybe out of the market. But the other 99, that's where your leads list is the most beneficial, because you would call or email or text every single one of them. Hey, so sorry you didn't win. It was a really fun giveaway. But however, I wanted to give you some type of kickback coupon, right? So, hey, here's 10% off your next service visit. Here's 20% off, or $20 towards your next parts visit, or here's $500 towards a trade-in. Whatever you can kind of come up with, or a combination of them, that's really what the end goal of this is. You get them in, you get their info, and you market to them now because they raised their hand. Okay. So how do we do this? Monthly, a 1 month enter to win. I'm not saying do this every month. You could do maybe once or twice a year. We can also tie it to different segments within the dealership itself. Okay. You can have some type of QR code on your parts counter or at your service advisor's desk, whatever it is. And obviously salespeople and online is really where the beneficial part is. You want to segment this list by giveaway and, be able to future offer these customers something towards the next month or the month after that. And then you want to message them. Like I said, you want to have maybe let's do a 3-message follow-up sequence. You have a thanks and winner announce, right? Take their picture, document it, do your co-op claims for that, and let everybody know that this is the person who won. This is the guy or the gal. Look at them, see how happy they are. This is awesome, right? That's free PR, if you will. Okay. And then the second one would be a non-winner exclusive offer. Okay. Well, hey, you didn't win. But here's something that we have just for you. Now that's an exclusive offer and there should be an end date to it. Must be redeemed, by the end of the month or a good for the next 30 days, whatever it is. And then the third message in that sequence would be a last call, expires tonight before 5 p.m., something like that, right? So there's a sense of urgency to it. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the next category, which we call database marketing. So some people call it equity mining. Some people call it loyalty, but essentially you are tapping your mountain of data, and every dealership that's been in business for a few years or longer has a mountain of data through one of their three departments: sales, parts, and service. So you want to be able to have a cadence on when you are looking at this data and mining it for equity. Think about a gold miner, right? The guy digging through the dirt. He finds one little nugget, right? And he's rich. Okay. That's essentially what we're doing. We are digging through finalized deals, unsold customers, transactions that came through your parts or motor clothes department. We are looking at your service repair orders, which are the juiciest. I'll get into that in a minute, but you are essentially looking through your data to try to identify who would be in an equity type position. How do you do that? Well, you want to pull a customer list. If we're talking about people who have bought from you before, these are finalized deals, usually they're called. And you want to go back maybe 24 to 36 months ago, right? That's 2 to 3 years. And you want to look at these names. You want to look at their area, right? You should have all of this data. You don't necessarily need their financials, but you need to know what they bought, whether it was new or pre-owned at the time. And you need to know what zip code they're in. So are they local, or was this potentially somebody who came to my dealership from out of state or out of the area? Loyalty programs kind of works the same, right? So these are people who are consistently doing transactions with you, and they're building up some type of, point program that they can later redeem. Great. When they get to a certain level, we want to approach them and say, hey, it's time to use these before the expiration, or we have a double your points promotion, whatever it is. But let's also send them some type of 3 message system, right? This can be something to the effect of the first one being, we want your unit. We want your exact unit. You already know what it is. Go ahead and fill in the blank, year, make, model, right? We have an upgrade offer. Okay. And that's maybe payment focused. By your finalized deals, and even through some of your loyalty programs, you should be able to tell if this customer had financed with you or not. And just some simple motorcycle math, if they've been paying on it for 24 to 36 months, take 3 years worth of payments out of that total. And you might see it, according to the book value or some of the Moto Hunt data, that they could be in a potential equity type position. And then the third and final offer, which all of these have expirations and urgency behind them, should be something like a trade assist or accessory credit. Like, hey, not only can you trade in your bike for over fair market value, but we also want to offer you a $100, $200, $500, whatever accessory credit towards a purchase, but it's got to be now. It's got to be today. It's got to be this weekend, whatever it is. Okay. By this date. And that's what's really going to get some people off of the couch. They're already familiar with your brand. Obtaining this data doesn't cost you anything extra, right? You're not really paying anything for this data. You're mining it from your own database, which is essentially free 99. And you're getting a few deals out of it just based on, I'm going to approach these people because I took the time to look at my data, and I'm going to creatively come up with a couple of offers, and I'm going to send it to them and see what I get. It's fishing. Okay. Now, the loyalty stuff, you can pick milestones. So let's say on their 10th visit, or if they reach the $5,000 mark in accessories, or, $50,000 in vehicle and accessories, whatever you think is appropriate, you want to pick that milestone and have something that alerts you, or that you're consistently going after these customers when they reach those milestones, for those of you that have some type of loyalty program. Okay. All right. So category 4. And again, we're talking about promoting our vehicles with sales and marketing tactics so that we can do the retail at our dealership. And this one is paid ads. Now, paid ads, some people think it's voodoo. Some people think it's maybe a money pit. And if you don't have a real good digital marketing expert, it could very well be that. But essentially, if you do it right and you're keeping it inventory focused on Google and on Meta, you want to focus on, especially for Google, you want to focus on high intent search and inventory driven campaigns. So the way that works best in our studies, in our research, and this is how we apply a lot of our marketing for the dealerships that we work with, is based on OEM campaigns, and they're bundled into year, make, and models, right? What that doesn't mean is that we're not promoting XYZ Powersports. We're not promoting service. We're not promoting parts, because those customers will find you organically if they already know what your business name is, or if you're a local dealer to them. Like if somebody types in, motorcycle tires for sale near me, most likely your dealership will come up in an organic Google search. But if you type in brand new Polaris Razor for sale near me, you want that top spot, because that's where the competing clicks lie. Those sponsored ads at the top that are year, make, model, location driven based on that search query. And you break it down by all the different OEMs that you carry. Now, if you are a pre-owned only, or you have a big pre-owned inventory, that could be a variety of different models that changes month to month. So then you want to go more with the broad keywords, like used motorcycle for sale, used Harley for sale, used sport bikes for sale, used ATVs, pre-owned side-by-sides, whatever that stuff is, okay? Those inventory driven campaigns are going to net you the best results, because that's really all the customer cares about. They don't care about your dealership name when they're actively searching for a vehicle they want. That comes later, right? Your reputation and how well your website is maintained when they get there will come second. All they're looking for is there this vehicle that I'm deciding to go look for on Google there? And when you do it this way, they find you. Now, within these campaigns, there's a couple different things that you can do in terms of trying to generate the engagement. Okay. Obviously, the click is the number one way, right? That's what Google was designed to do with search ads, or with even the product ads, which we'll kind of get into in a minute. But the click to your website, Dealer Spike, DX1, Room 58, it doesn't really matter. You have a dealership website that you pay a lot of money for and you drive a lot of traffic to. If you're already following the best practices on merchandising your inventory, the customer should convert on one of your lead forms, either one of your standard website lead forms or one of the widgets that gets their attention, like a payment calculator or a trade-in form or a finance application. It doesn't really matter as long as they convert, because what they found was attractive based on the Google search that just brought them there. Now, the other way is calls directly. Now, we found that a lot of people call because those are a little bit more higher funnel. They're a little bit more active in their search. They want kind of an answer now, and they don't want to wait or fill out a form and wait for somebody to get back to them from the dealership. They want an immediate answer. Now, in terms of just sales training, the digital leads, the phone call is the most mishandled, but it is also the hottest. So process aside, we'll talk about that in a minute. If you have a solid process to answer incoming sales phone calls, generating calls directly from a Google ad only, which means not allowing them the ability to click, or you give it to them as a secondary option, those phone calls are generating a ton of engagement with you and your sales team. But again, the caveat is you got to answer the phone and you got to process that customer correctly. Okay. Now, the other way is native forms. Okay. So not only on Google and Meta, they do provide a form that a customer can fill out right then and there, which it seems to be moving that way with some of these advertising programs. They want to collect it there and send to your CRM rather than it being clicked over to your website and then they fill out a form. But you're going to get more forms from your website, whether it's paid or organic or otherwise. So make sure your conversion tracking is set up, because the point of all this, guys, is that you need to know where your engagements, your clicks, your calls, and your lead forms are converting, what's converting, paid, organic, or otherwise. Okay. Now let's talk about Meta. Meta is Facebook and Instagram. That's their new name. It has been for a while, if you were not aware of that. But Meta, they have a really fantastic delivery system for higher funnel customers, meaning they're a little bit in the consideration phase. They're not so much in the, I want to look on where to buy this, right? And just so we understand the funnel, there's high, mid, and low. Okay. Just marketing 101 when we talk about that stuff. And usually Google search is somewhere towards the bottom, right? They're looking for a dealer that might have this inventory in stock and they're investigating, right? But they've already got it in their mind. And their intent is, I'm going to look for one of these things. Meta, on the other hand, is a little higher to mid. Okay. These are customers who may or may not be in market at that moment that the ad was delivered to them, but they are seeing it. And the best thing about Meta is with their ad persona profiles, their interest or audience lists, plus their retargeting. I mean, this thing's a cheat code, right? And you're forcing it into a platform that statistics show us they spend multiple hours a day on, right? Facebook or Instagram. I know I spend a lot of time on social. I wish I didn't. I hate that I sometimes get lost in the scroll, but guess what? I am constantly being peppered with advertisements that speak to me. And sometimes I bite. Your customers will be doing the same thing. Okay. They see an ad, they see a piece of inventory, they see segmented inventory, like, a whole bunch of different range of sport bike models or a whole bunch of range of UTV models, whatever it is, right? And they go, ooh, that looks good because the picture's good, the content's good, the message is good, whatever it is. And they bite and they click, and that's trackable. I mean, that's the cheat code right there for getting more customers engaged from an outside source than anything. Okay. Now, when you build your inventory based catalog campaigns on Meta, that was a mouthful, but basically you're building sets of inventory buckets that have a strong offer. Now, I said it before, you could do it by OEM. So all of your Hondas in one grouping, and then break that out by Honda motorcycle, Honda ATV, Honda side by side. And then you have another bucket for your Kawasaki's, and same kind of thing. All your Polarises, Polaris Sport, which are your Razors, your Generals, your Rangers, your ATVs, and go on down that list for all of your OEMs. Now, for your used stuff, you want to be a little bit more broad. And so you want to kind of bucket those into segments: adventure bikes, dirt bikes, on-road cruisers, on-road sport bikes, touring bikes, ATVs, side-by-sides, PWCs. Do more than less, and you will be able to see what engages more when you place the advertisements. Okay. A minimum of 8 ads is what we usually put on most of these campaigns. And they are mixed up between all these different brands, all these different segments, because it works. And you can throttle one or the other based upon what your inventory objectives are. Case in point, I need to move a whole bunch of, let's say Polaris models, right? Or let's say Yamaha models, because co-op expires and they co-op these type of ads. Well, I'm going to throttle that spend on just that OEM brand because it's not lumped into everything else. I can kind of pick and choose what daily spends in terms of advertising budget I want to put on certain models or segments of models that are new or even pre-owned. So that's how you do it, guys. And if you need any more help on that, let me know. We do a fantastic job at it. So the minimum tracking stack is get your call number tracking, get your form tracking. If you're using UTM links from paid advertisements or banners or meta ads, make sure all that is there and you're looking at your analytics. Okay. Now, for a scoreboard, when it comes to reporting, you obviously want to look at cost per click. That's CPC. You want to look at cost per lead. You want to look at impressions, which is more of a vanity metric, but they do kind of have to fall in with CTR. CTR stands for click-through rate. So impressions and then divided by your clicks, that's your CTR. The higher the CTR score, the better your ad, in my opinion. And that's kind of how we look at some of those performance metrics. Now, once the lead is generated, now it comes into the CRM. Now, the CRM scoreboard side of it is going to be what your person or people has done with that digital hand raiser. How many leads did you get in as a total? And that's a combination of form fills from the various different forms and logged phone calls. Don't forget about those logged phone calls, guys. If you are not actively logging inbound sales phone calls into your CRM, you are already skewing the numbers because that is a lead. No exceptions. If you want to get call tracking software so that it helps back that stuff up if you're unsure, that stuff works great for putting metrics behind how many times your phone is ringing and who is saying what on both ends. Okay. You want to look at appointment set rate. You want to look at appointment show rate. You want to look at appointments sold rate, because that's kind of how it works with digital leads. The inquiry happens, you set an appointment time, usually, and they come in and either they buy or they don't. Okay. And I've got a whole set of, statistics on what that is between those KPIs. So hit me up if you need some more of that stuff. All right. So the next category is going to be community and content. Okay. So I'm talking more about your own organic social media strategy and community and groups and influencers. Okay. This is the non-paid part of what I just talked about. You're going to make sure on your social media channels that you are actively posting. If you have the ability to have a spokesperson, whatever you want to call them, brand ambassador, spokesperson, someone who is not afraid of the camera, that will consistently cut short form videos for your dealership's, Facebook account, Instagram account, TikTok account, whatever it is. You can do funny stuff. You can do serious stuff. You can do anything that you have going on in the shop. A lot of people are leaning towards the educational side of it, meaning they're teaching somebody about the dealership that is just day to day for them, but it may not be to the open public. And so whatever it is, video is where it's going to lie. All of these platforms that I'm talking about should be in video format, short form, portrait mode if possible. That's the cell phone up and down versus sideways. And you are consistently putting forth the effort to cut it. Maybe some slight editing if you want. Don't make it look too polished. And then posting. And that's what customers will gravitate towards just naturally. My good friend Sean Rains, he's always talking about content and building trust for your brand through that content. Now, he's got a couple different ways that he likes to do that. But when we're talking about just the bare minimum of a dealership stack of social media accounts that they have to manage, it usually is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, their Google business page, and maybe some outlier that they like. I've even heard of Pinterest, right? But whatever. But, again, we're just trying to fill the air with words and video content that the customers can look at, consistently see our brand, see your uniform, see your showroom, see the products that you sell. It doesn't matter as long as you do it consistently. Okay. Now with groups, that's a whole different kind of animal. Okay. Now, luckily within our industry, we are enthusiast driven. I think most people would agree with that. And there are constantly people trying to come together that own the products that we sell to go on group rides or bike night events or parking lot, shows or whatever, right? Even at your store or off site, it doesn't really matter. So groups and group rides are something that you can organize naturally, organically, but you got to put a little bit of a relationship flywheel together, right? You're approaching maybe some clubs, maybe you're approaching some, community type pages that already have this stuff. There's several here where I live. I'm always looking through that group page, trying to, see what the next ride is and try to join them, because usually they're, nothing, no cost to enter, right? Maybe a poker run will cost you $20 or something like that, but you got a potential to win a grand prize at the end. But all that stuff, people are constantly looking for that connection, that community, and that sense of group, right? That I'm part of something, that I'm in it with these people. Now, influencers, on the other hand, these are people who already have some type of following, and the game has kind of changed on influencer marketing. I would argue that a couple years ago, the bigger the influencer, the bigger the impact. But I would argue now that you need like a smaller to mid tier influencer. If you want to put a metric to it, maybe they don't have more than 50 or 60,000 followers. You can see a person's follower count usually, or see what kind of metrics they can put up based upon what they post. but it's going to be the smaller influencers who are going to win locally with your brands. That's if you want to go down this route, but this is the best way to go. You want to contract this person and pay them fairly to be talking to their audience about you, your service, your products, your team, your showroom, whatever it is. Maybe give them, a demo bike for a weekend, and maybe talk about the next event that's coming up that they'll be at. Whatever it is, it's a group of smaller influencers that you can collectively have it, rather than one huge one that really isn't in touch with their audience anymore, and really just kind of like be a little bit more UGC, right? User generated content based, right? They talk to 30 to 50,000 people. Half of those engage with their post, and the algorithm picks it up, whatever, and they get a bunch of likes, they get a bunch of comments. But more importantly, your branding is being represented by a trustworthy person that other people follow. Okay. So with all that, how do we get there? How do we do it? What's the plan here, guys? Well, let's keep going with the rule of three, right? The previous, I gave you 3 different things in each. Well, let's do 3 videos a week minimum, right? So you can start with just something easy, right? A new arrival walk around. And, it'd be something like this. Hey, I'm Jacob. I'm here at my dealership XYZ Powersports. I'm a salesman. I'm a marketing person. I'm a manager. It doesn't matter your position. But hey, I wanted to show you the new arrival of the week. We've got this, new arrival being a pre-owned Harley, super clean, whatever it is, right, guys? Whatever bike you get in, it doesn't really matter. You're just trying to fill the air with words and video content. You could do your latest build. That's a really popular one with the side-by-side guys. If you just put, $5, $10, $15,000 worth of parts and accessories on a brand new Razor or Ranger or Maverick, whatever it is, you can highlight that, do a quick walk around of it. Hey, here's a 60-second video just kind of outlining some really cool stuff. And when I say this, I am talking about first person based, right? The highly produced, the quick cuts, the music in the background, all that's fine. But I think people connect more with, hey, I am this person. Let me do a selfie video with the unit behind me just to show you what it's all about. You see my face, you see my uniform, you see the showroom that I'm in. Okay. The second one would be an aged unit offer. So this is kind of the new arrival in reverse, right? This is my oldest inventory. Hey, this bike has been here for a while, guys. We got it discounted. You don't have to tell them it's been there for a while, but we got it discounted, 10,000 off, right? 5,000 off. I got $500 parts credit, whatever. This bike needs to go this weekend. It's our hot bike of the week, whatever it is. Okay. Another good one that is really catching fire. This is my third topic, is the service tip, or, the behind the scenes, right? So going back, and I've seen a lot of dealers starting to do this, and I love it. They're giving service tips like, hey, did you know that you can do this? Or here's how to check your oil, or here's what tools we use to, do this or that, right? It's not anything that you're giving away like a secret sauce. Oh, they won't come to my service department if we tell them how to do it. It's like, hey, this is basic stuff, right? How to check your air pressure, how to look at your oil level, how to reset your, trip odometer. It could be something that you and I take for granted, like, duh, you should know that. But I would argue that they probably don't. And let's just kind of maybe come up with a couple of easy ideas that we can do. Have a service tech involved in it, or just go back and do it yourself, but in the service department. Okay. The behind the scenes stuff is a little bit more, okay, what do you want to share, right? Here, it shouldn't be, here's how we, submit a finance application. It should be like, okay, here's what the morning looks like when we open up a store at 9 a.m. We have to push outside a whole bunch of vehicles, to put on the curb or the sidewalk. And we have to put up the flags and, this and that, turn on the lights, start the coffee maker, right? This is the day in the life of a dealership showroom. And the bonus tip I'll give you on this is one ride or one meetup per month. Okay. It could start small and it could grow. You may only have a couple people show up to the first or second one, but as long as you're consistent about it and you're constantly promoting it, talking about it, you're getting referrals from these other customers. Every new customer that you sell, hey, by the way, congratulations on your new motorcycle purchase. By the way, this weekend is our monthly meetup at the dealership. Kickstands up at noon, and we'll leave and we'll go here and we'll go here and we'll go here, right? It's a planned route of some sort. And, we'll go to the bar afterwards. So whatever that is, you've got in season one ride or meetup per month, even if it's small. Doesn't really matter. And you don't have to pay for everything either. It's just maybe provide a route and some organization with your social media presence. All right. So the next category I'm going to talk about here is probably my favorite when it comes to the overlooked stuff. I always like the overlooked stuff, right? Because nobody else does it. And if you do it, you can capitalize on it where nobody else will. So let's talk about service and parts. Now, I love my brothers and sisters in the parts and the service department. But when it comes to using it for sales, it could be a little tricky. It could be a little siloed, if you will, right? That's parts and service department. They're over here and we're over here and we don't talk to each other and we don't exchange information. Screw that. Let's talk about how you get somebody over from a service department. First of all, you got to know who's there. And so, small plug, at Moto Hunt, we developed a way that we can pull in your ROs automatically. But even if you don't want to sign up for something like that, you can go and you can get a DMS, a service repair order download of that day, that week, the past 30 days. And you can more or less look at those units that are coming into your service department or are there right now, and you can start to equity mine those vehicles. They're literally in your service department getting work done. And most of these bikes, if they're a couple years old, do not have a warranty. They probably got some mileage on it, right? So you want to look for something that is maybe 3 to 5 or older years old, model years old. And it's got maybe 10,000 plus miles on it, right? For a motorcycle, that's a lot, right? To put 10,000 miles on a bike in a short few years, I mean, that's a lot of riding, okay? And what you start to do is you start to understand, okay, well, this would be an equity situation. This would not be. And you start to create offers based upon, hey, you have a 10-year-old Polaris Ranger. Have you seen the brand new 2025s or 26s that are coming out? Look at all the new technology. It's got a bigger engine. You can get a crew cab instead of your two-seater. However you need to pitch that stuff, the only advice I would give you towards that is be soft. Okay. You don't want to scare service customers out of the service department because an overly aggressive salesperson goes after them every time they drop off their unit for an oil change. Okay. So do it softly, but do it proactively. Send them an offer through the mail. Hey, Mr. Jones, I saw that you've got your vehicle here in service. I just took a look at it. It's beautiful. I actually have a customer who is looking for the same exact unit. I'd like to offer you a fair market value on that vehicle towards an upgraded, discounted, brand new one, and you can keep the same payment that you're at now. Whatever you need to do, that service department is an untapped gold mine. And you can easily pick out 10 plus deals from that department every single month if you do it consistently. Okay. Now, with parts, it's a little bit trickier because you don't know exactly what vehicle they have, but you do know their name, and your parts people should be getting emails and phone numbers off of them. And you can easily use that data to go into your next promotional communication. Add them to your Google audiences, add them to your Meta ad campaigns for an audience list, add them to your email newsletter marketing, put them on an SMS blast type system where you promote stuff by text, through a group. And this is really a way that you can introduce some parts customers who may or may not have done business with the sales department, but now they are now getting and seeing parts promotional content. That's kind of what it's all about, right? Don't rely just on your website leads for people who are interested. Those are hot customers. You want to pile in everything else from your other two departments as well. Okay. Now you can offer some of these guys service special of the week. You can offer them some type of cross sell like gear and accessories. It's really up to you and how creative you want to be. The only point that I'm trying to make is that you can use your service and you can use your parts / motor clothes department for additional sales department opportunities. Okay. All right. So let's do a 7-day dealership marketing challenge. Let's just write down a couple of quick, simple challenges that we can do. Let's pick 10 of our aged units. All right. We're going to make sure that we have a competitive price on them. We're going to tag them and we're going to put some type of spotlight on these units, right? We're going to re-merchandise them with new photos and some type of sale overlay. Number 3, we're going to launch one Meta catalog campaign and one Google intent campaign based upon those 10 units. Number 4, we're going to text your 24 to 36 month olds sold list with a trade offer. Number 5, we're going to schedule one ride or one event for this month or the next month. Again, depending on your seasonality, where you are in the country. If there's, a foot of snow on the ground, you can't do that. Or maybe you can if you sell snowmobiles, whatever the case may be. You understand what I'm trying to say. But when it's season and when it's appropriate, schedule one ride and see how it goes. You want to do one giveaway landing page. Okay. So check your co-op, see if there's funds available, enough to cover a kid's unit, a dirt bike, an ATV, or even something bigger, like an entry-level cruiser if you want. Some of these cruisers are pretty inexpensive on invoice. Do one giveaway, but you got to build a landing page for it. You got to collect information and you got to promote it organically through your emails, through your texts, through your parts counter, through your service counter, and you got to drive traffic to it and always possible so that you get as many signups as possible. And then you want to track your leads and appointments. Okay. So this is the 7th objective is the challenge, right? Track all the leads from all of these things. Track how many appointments are coming in from them and see what kind of results you get. Sometimes I will say that this marketing stuff is a little loosey-goosey. You just kind of throw things at the wall, see what works. Or maybe you have an event and it feels like there's a lot of stuff going on, or it feels like there's a lot of people at the dealership, but you get nothing from it, right? It's usually like a goose egg kind of a day, right? You gave away a whole bunch of hot dogs and hamburgers, but you didn't sell any rides. Well, that's okay and that's not okay. But the one thing that you are getting from that event is opportunities. And those opportunities come in the name of phone, email, name, zip code, right? And so let's get those going. Let's make sure that we're tracking that stuff. All right. Now, I want to give a couple bonus things that I want to talk about, right? So we kind of went over the full gamut there with inventory, merchandising and pricing, giveaways, equity mining, loyalty programs, the community groups and meetups and rides. We got micro influencers is what they're called, the mid to medium, influencers with a certain count, parts counter conversions, service repair orders, P&A, upsells, crossovers, right? Let's talk about something that actually works. Okay. So AI. All right. Now we obviously are living in a world that is full of AI right now. And if you're not using it, boohoo on you. You should be up to date with this stuff. But even if you're not, here's a couple ways that it might be easy to get into for your business. The first one I'll talk about is an AI lead response assistant. Okay. Now you can tie a lot of your lead forms to a program that will give a personalized response based upon what categorical options you give it. Okay. Instant replies. It can always ask for an appointment setter, the next best question prompt, right? Based on their answers. But think about it like this. You train a brand new salesperson to say and to do things over and over and over, right? Say it like this. Ask this question. If they say this, you rebut with this. Here's an objection. Here's an answer. So salespeople, humans, they don't always retain that stuff, or they're kind of thinking on their feet and they just kind of give an answer based on what they think might work, right? With AI, you don't get any of that stuff. If you write your prompt the same way that you train an actual person and your knowledge gets dumped into this AI with this prompt, it will ask it that way every single time. It's amazing how it works. It has parameters that it follows. And if it says this answer on the form is this, and you want it to say this, guess what? It does that every single time. And they're responsive. Okay. So this is a really great way that you can tie it to your email and make it even sound like you, the general manager, the sales manager, the marketing person, whatever, so that you send out an email, it sends it out on your behalf with this automatic personalized response to that one person, and no two emails are the same. The second thing that you can do is some AI call summaries slash coaching. So if you are getting your phone call tracking in place and you've got a recording of it, or it listens to the live phone call, you can now, with certain AI tools, get every call summarized. You can also get them tagged, and it can even provide some coaching tips based upon what prompts you give it to look for, right? Did we ask for an appointment every time? Was price brought up in the conversation? Did we talk about a trade or payment? Did we say the things that we're needing to say on this live human to human phone call with AI listening? The AI summaries work beautifully for that. And I highly suggest that if you have the ability to listen in on your phone calls with some kind of call tracking software, the next immediate thing that you do is tie it to that. And those can be delivered to you instantly. Like when the phone call hangs up, within seconds, you get that summary in your inbox or text message. It's wonderful. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about with AI is a content engine. Okay. Now, let's say that you've got your 10 aged units identified, or you've got your new arrival or whatever, right? You're just not sure what to do. Use AI to build a content engine for you. Hey, AI, I got this year, make, model. It's this and that. It's this color, right? You can even almost give it a link to it from your website and it'll read it for you. But you can turn it into a couple different things. Here's the best things that we found. We can do a script for a short walk around video. We can give it 3 different listing headlines. We can do frequently asked questions for SEO, 5 different FAQs for SEO purposes, right? You put this on your listing on the website. You can do a why this model, like why would you want to buy this? You're speaking on video to a person directly. I've got this model. Why would you want it? How would it benefit your life, etc. Right? The products that we provide the products that we sell provide enjoyment in life. Why would this one fit into that for this customer? AI can help you not only fully create this stuff if you really wanted to be lazy, but at least give you a starting point that you can go, oh, yeah, that's cool. I'm going to write some extra stuff on top of that. Okay. And then the last thing is the ad creative. Okay. So image generation with AI has gone leaps and bounds. It seems like every single day there's a better and better AI image generator out there. So if you're looking for ad creative, you can generate all these different promotions, different looks. The best example is, again, Sean Rains, my friend. He had a certain vehicle that he got as a lifestyle photo, and it was like in the desert, but the dealership he was working with is in the snow, right? So they didn't have any snow related vehicle shots. And so what he did is he took that photo of this vehicle in the desert, he gave it to the AI image generator and said, now put this vehicle in the snow, and there's Christmas trees, whatever, right? It could, as long as you're creative with it, it could do really whatever you want. But he was able to generate different lifestyle type ad images of this vehicle, lifestyle based, in an entirely different climate or part of the country, because that's where that dealership was. That's where that client was. You can also do hooks and overlays, and you can do, special pricing, banners, right? All this ad creative is however you can be creative with it, it will do it. It might not always be great on the first couple, but you work with it and you re-engineer your prompt to get what you need out of it. Okay. Now let's talk about building audience lists. This is my second bonus tip, the SMS and email money list. Okay. Now, when it comes to both, there's rules for both. Obviously, text has a little bit more around it, but the text blast, the text feature that you can instantly send a short message and even potentially a graphic and or video, this is for speed, right? You want to say, hey, event coming up this weekend. last day to get your loyalty points, expires tonight, do this, right? We've all gotten those types of texts. Why can't you use them for your dealership's events or promotions as well? Now, on a one-to-one text, you can obviously do text reminders for appointments. You can do a text reminder for a trade-in value that they may or may not have been involved in. Is this still available? Service pickups, special order parts pickups, whatever it is. Now, email is for depth, right? And what we've seen working best is actual text emails. The day of the big, long, colorful, flashy, big banners here and there. I mean, that's kind of going away. Most people hit the unsubscribe list on many of those. I'm not saying that they don't have their place. I would just incorporate other versions of your email list, recipients with a text only and then a flashy traditional, we'll call it email newsletter blast, right? But offers, events, stories, right? Trade-in incentives, service education, finance promotions, whatever you think is best, email is where you're going to build the best list, okay? And a small, important, process to note on this is that, there's a lot of hygiene involved in both of these lists. And especially with SMS, we have a 10 DLC registration and a constant opt-out that we have to follow, or else you can get some fines on that. So if you go with a out-of-the-box text blast or, text club, provider where a customer can sign up for it on their own, or you subscribe them to it through a different form, just make sure that that system takes people out of it if they opt out, right? So, outside of that, guys, we've talked about a lot, but the best thing that you can do is make the offer, okay? The offer is where everything that I just said is going to lie. The offer is going to be where it's at, okay? Now, if you're talking about inventory, you're talking about giveaways, you're talking about all these other things that I just went over, the offer needs to be the strongest piece of any of it, or else it's all going to fall flat. So take some time and let's kind of break this down into 4 sections, okay? Number 1 being offer. That's what they get, right? If you do this, here's what you get, okay? Proof. It's why it's real, right? So here's proof of customers taking advantage of this, or this is how it works. You need a deadline, which there is a why now reason involved in it. Do this now before it expires because insert. And then you need a friction remover. Okay. So these are where a lot of customers and a lot of dealerships kind of fall, right? And that's not to anybody's fault. It's just kind of the industry that we are in has certain limitations, right? Most dealerships, we always want the customer to get in their car, right? Throw it in reverse, drive however many miles they need to drive, park in our parking lots, get out of their car, walk into the showroom and say, I'm here because of XYZ. That's a lot, right? So if you can remove any of that friction of them required to come to our dealership with a delivery, with a pickup, with a pre-approval, if they have a trade, hey, we'll do it online and then we'll pick it up. The friction remover is what's going to help dealers stand out from all of it. So again, here's the stack that you need for a good engineered offer and how to make the promos that you put out there feel irresistible. You need an offer, you need a deadline, and you need a friction. And that's all I got for you guys. So hopefully this has been beneficial. I do have a PDF called The Sales and Marketing Secrets for Powersports and Motorcycle Dealership. Definitely hit me up if you need that. It's full of all these with even more explanations, some examples of what we've done, and just a whole lot of good content if you are looking to get an edge on your sales and marketing, especially when it comes to your major unit inventory. So thank you again. My name is Jacob Berry, and we'll see you on the next one.
Dealers, get ready to accelerate your sales with MotoHunt Marketplace. For a limited time, we're offering a free trial to Powersports and motorcycle dealers to showcase your inventory where it matters most. MotoHunt isn't just a platform. With our unparalleled Google-esque search technology, your listings climb to the top of page results, capturing the attention of motivated buyers without the need for a bidding war. We'll send direct, qualified leads straight to your CRM or inbox. Get more visibility on your in-stock units and convert more sales is what MotoHunt Marketplace offers. Your inventory deserves the spotlight, and with MotoHunt, that's exactly where it'll be. Sign up today for free. Visit dealers.motohunt.com/free. That's dealers.motohunt.com/free. That's FREE to claim your free trial today.